to come out here. I'm going to get a bunch of emails tomorrow about, who else can I think? I don't think I have these guys long enough. I don't know, this gentleman's company, and I'll think I knew what they were very attentive for me so far. He might send me an email tomorrow, and I don't know the industry, but so many times I get an email that says, hey Mark, I saw you speak at that thing. Please give me a call back. I want to see, I want to share with you how my company services can benefit Chesapeake. Wish I knew what this guy did. So I got to email him back, and then I'll say, hey, listen, please give me a little bit of a summary about, it's kind of a standard email that goes back. I'm going to ask you to go to AskChesapeake.com, and I'm going to ask you to register in what's called our prospective vendor database. If you go to AskChesapeake.com and you click on the Contact Us section, scroll down to the Utica Shale, you're going to see I want to be a vendor with Chesapeake, what do I got to do? And it's going to give you a little bit of this information, it's going to ask you some information. But I'm going to email you back and say, listen, give me a very brief, Joe was talking about that 30-second, what was the term, Joe? We're going to give us 30-second sell. There's a tremendous volume coming in, and I can disseminate that to the field of operations. So I'm going to say, listen, give me a very brief summarized statement about the services or products that you sell and how you think it's going to fit within Chesapeake. Then what I can do is I can help you navigate, with 13,000 employees, and there's a lot of people that make those buying decisions. I can't just send every one of those emails out to 13,000 people. I try to filter it down to the 4, 5, or 6 people that you really want to be in front of. And usually, so I send an email back and say, give me a brief summary about what you do. And then I get like a 3-page email with 9 different attachments. And I say, listen, I'm going to forward this on to Tim Cummings. I say, listen, this is best fencing contractor. And in the first 3 paragraphs, he doesn't even tell me he's a fencing contractor, but he's willing to do anything. And those are very real desires out there. Those are very real desires. But I want you to put when you send that email, and I encourage you to do it, but picture this. Picture that you and I are having that first conversation, and try to imagine the questions I'm going to have to ask of you to find out exactly what you do. How long have you been in business? Are you a member of IS Networld? What specific trades do you offer? Do you already work with oil field service? Do you have any references? What's your safety rating? Give me as much, because what I'm going to do, once I get to that point that I think it's pretty good, I'm going to send it to those 4 or 5 guys in our company. And I tell you, I have a lot of patience. I don't have time to do it all, but I'll go back and forth maybe 4 or 5 times. But the reality is, our field staff, they have a job to do. They're working very, very hard. Typically, they're in the field. They're looking at that email I send them on their cell phones most of the time. You got to capture their information in that 30-second cell that Joe referred to. Tell me your safety rating. Tell me what you can do for Chesapeake. Tell me why you think that Chesapeake, if you want to attach a price list, that would be great. All the marketing materials are very good too, but if they're concise too. If you're talking pricing, and most times I ask, hey, can you send me a price list? And not all industries can do that, I understand that. But the common email I get back is, well, that depends. Okay, I'll send that off, and that's not going to get responded to. You probably got to assume that if you're competing for some of these trades, it might not be with us, it might be with Superior, some of these other people here. You are competing, if you're that fencing contractor, you're competing with some people who are probably working at a higher volume than you are right now because you haven't put a fence on one of our sites. But you're competing for the price against the guy who is, building 10 fences a month for us. He's probably as competitive as can be on that fencing. Who knows the price of natural gas right now? I don't know exactly this morning, but it's pretty darn close to $2. That's pretty darn close to what the cost is to produce it. It's in the industry all the time. We constantly are perceived to be the big company, big pie, you write checks, whatever. But the reality is, it's a very costly, especially natural gas. It's very costly. There's not a lot of margins in there when you talk about as a percentage. And we routinely reach out to our vendors and say, listen, come up with some ideas. Whether we can do it, you can. How can you help us control these costs? So if you can come up with a price list, I would encourage you to go back and try to, for your services, what's the one thing you do best? What's the one thing you can find a niche with Chesapeake?